Hello everyone, it's Miss Goodrich with your weekly instructional video. This is your video for the week of May 4th through 8th. So this week you're reading a text called Transportation Long Ago and Today. So if you can't tell from the pictures on the screen, transportation is just a way from getting from one place to another. So you're going to read lots of examples of transportation maybe that you're familiar with now, like a car or an airplane or a train. And you're also going to get to read about some transportation that we really don't use anymore because technology has been so upgraded to allow us to move in faster ways. This is a nonfiction text. It's actually a historical text. It is available on Myon as well as on the link that I'm going to put on Edsby for you. I'm not going to go through these vocabulary words, but I really, really, really want you guys to recognize that there is a glossary at the end of the text. Please go look at those words, go familiarize yourself with those words. Also, as you're reading, there will be little footers at the bottom that also have those vocabulary words. So if you're unfamiliar with a word, especially if it's like this one right here, dirigible, it's an airship or a blimp. So if you're unfamiliar with a word while you're reading through, make sure you're reading those little footnotes because those will help you understand better what you're reading about or what exactly that object is. I also picked out some other words that might help you as you're reading. You may already know these words, but I did want to point them out to you in context. So the first one is era. An era is a time period. So it's going to talk about different eras of transportation, so different time periods where different types of transportation were used. The second word I wanted to point out is the word horseless. You probably know that horseless means without a horse because of that suffix less, which means without. So I wanted to point that out to you because that's really an important suffix that you might see in any of your texts. The third one is gasoline. Hopefully you guys know what gasoline is. It's the main type of fuel that we use in cars. We often just call it gas for short, but gasoline and gas are the same thing. So if you're stopping at a gas station with your mom, it also could be called a gasoline station. That's important because before people figured out how to use gasoline effectively, they had to move their vehicles manually or they had to use transportation that could use a different type of power to move it. So they might use a horse in order to pull a cart or something like that. And then lastly, the word I want you to know is improvements, and that's just ways that something is made better. So if you're making improvements in your work is improving, your work is getting better. So you'll recognize lots of improvements on technology as you read through today's text. So this week, again, you're reading an informational text. It's actually historical text. And your objective is I can read to understand the history of transportation. Historical texts describe events, explain why they happened, and why they matter. You guys probably remember this little piece from your notebook. And if you look at the date, it was a long, long, long time ago. We did this back in August. But of course, throughout the year, you guys have been reading nonfiction texts. It wasn't just in August that we read them. But I did want to remind you of some strategies and some things that are important while you're reading through a historical text. First off, some characteristics is that it provides true information. So remember, everything you read in this text is going to be true. It's organized around a specific topic. I bet you could go ahead and guess that the topic you're going to be reading about is transportation. They often use text features, and this is huge. As you guys are reading, you're going to see things like timelines or pictures, photographs, captions, those footnotes that have important words at the bottom of the page. Don't skip over those. Text features are super, super important. Think of them like a stop sign. You need to stop and look at that information that's included. And then lastly, the purpose of an informational text or a historical text is to inform or explain something to you. So obviously they're informing you about transportation and how it's changed over time. Some tips or strategies you can use to determine the main idea and key details. Think about what is important as you read. Use text features to understand what you read. And think about what text structure is used. Remember, Text structure is how an author organizes a text. We did a lot of text structure when I think you guys read Simone Manuel's story. Um, a text structure could be cause and effect, problem and solution, chronological order and sequence, could also be description. So think about what text structure you see as you read. Before I close out, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys your checklist. Please do not skip over the checklist, guys. I've got lots of people completing your reading assignments, but not necessarily your writing assignments. So I'm going to show you really quickly what that checklist looks like and make sure that you are knowing how to access it. So right here is your weekly checklist. You have a task for every single day of the week. Remember, you don't have to complete those tasks on the day that they're assigned. You just have to have them all completed by Saturday. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you have some sort of reading assignment. If you want to knock out all of your reading at one time, you can. I've just staggered it that way for you to make it a little bit less of a workload. And then, guys, this is what I'm talking about, the Tuesday and Thursday journals. I've been asking you to write about what you're independently reading. If you don't have a paperback or a hardback book at home that you can be reading, you are welcome to go on Myon and read about whatever you want to read about. Go on Myon and find a graphic novel. Go on Myon, have them read it to you. So you're not limited just to a book that you own at home. It can be something you read online. And then Thursday you have another journal entry. And this week you get it. You have another choice that you can choose from, and it will be in relation to the transportation text that we've read this week. So as always, let me know if you have any questions while you're working, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Have a wonderful week.